Welcome back to Spilling Tea. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to start off with sharing that this episode was actually inspired by my son, Jordan, who recently graduated from Grove City College with a bachelor's degree in exercise science. And I got to tell you, watching his dedication along with his passion for understanding how the human body works and his commitment to helping people live healthier lives has been honestly incredibly motivating for me. And as proud as I am of him, and trust me, I am mega proud, it's also made me think a lot more deeply about the world we're all trying to be healthy in. So today, we're talking about something that affects every single one of us multiple times a day, sometimes emotionally, sometimes impulsively, and occasionally at 2 a.m. in front of the refrigerator. Food! Food is what we are talking about. Not just what we eat, but what our food has quietly become. Because somewhere along the way, the thing that was meant to fuel us started working against us. And here's the unsettling part. This didn't happen overnight either. There was no breaking news alert, no sirens, no, hey, your breakfast cereal is about to betray you warning. Nope, just like everything else in relationships, it happened slowly and quietly. We all got hoodwinked very efficiently too. So let's get into it. And I want to start simple too. Your body runs on glucose. That's its preferred fuel, like premium gasoline for your biological engine. But modern food, it's not just giving you glucose, it's giving you a trio: glucose, fructose, and galactose. Now, galactose is kind of like the understudy that never gets stage time anymore in modern diets. So we'll set it aside for now. But here's the key point. Only glucose can be used directly by your body for energy. Every cell in your body, from your brain to your muscles, can burn glucose instantly. But fructose, on the other hand, that one has to go through a middleman, and that middleman is your liver. And here's where it gets weird. Like, why is this in everything, including salad dressing, weird? Glucose raises insulin. Fructose doesn't, at least not directly. And that sounds good until you realize it also doesn't trigger fullness signals the same way. So you keep eating it without your body telling you to stop. And your liver is a hard-working organ, but it did not sign up for this level of overtime. It thought it was getting a steady 9 to 5, not peak holiday retail hours. Unlike glucose, which gets distributed throughout your body, almost all fructose is processed in the liver. There's no shared workload. So when you consume large amounts of fructose, especially in the form of high fructose corn syrup, it all gets routed to the liver. Every soda, every sweetened, delicious snack, every healthy bar that tastes suspiciously like dessert. Your brain thinks, we're still hungry. Your liver thinks, why in the fresh hell is this still happening? And somewhere in the background, your pancreas is just quietly drafting a resignation letter. And here's the kicker. Fructose metabolism bypasses some of your body's normal energy regulation steps. That means that your body is more likely to turn it into fat even when you don't need extra energy. And over time, your liver starts converting that excess into fat. This process is called de novo lipogenesis. I think and pray that I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's just a fancy schmancy way of saying your liver is literally manufacturing fat from sugar, which leads to a bit of an awkward situation. You can develop fatty liver disease without ever touching alcohol. In fact, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease now affects roughly 1 in 3 adults in some populations, and sugar intake is a major driver of that. It's like your liver is throwing a party it didn't want, and sugar is the uninvited guest who refuses to leave. Now, let's talk about insulin, the hormone that's basically your body's storage manager. Every time you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises. Insulin steps in and says, all right, team, let's pack this away for later. It helps move glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells, especially your muscles and liver, where it can be used or stored. That's how it's supposed to work. But here's the problem. Insulin was never designed to be on a 24/7 shift. Think of it like a backup generator. I'm in the power industry, deal a lot with backup generators. It's not something that you leave running all day because you're too lazy to flip the main power switch. Back in the day, you'd eat a big meal. Insulin would spike, energy would get stored, and then everything would calm down. Your body would return to a low insulin state, what we like to call fat burning mode. We love fat burning mode. But today, we snack. We sip straight sugar half the time. We just have a little something, a little treat to get you through the day. We eat foods engineered to be hyper palatable, basically designed in a lab to make your brain say, yes, give me more of that immediately. It's also known as foods that make you black out. And suddenly, when you wake up, the bag is empty and you're like, well, that felt pretty personal. Many of these foods combine sugar, fat, and salt in a way that keeps your brain's reward system constantly activated. So insulin never gets a break, which means your body rarely gets the signal to switch into fat burning mode. And when something in your body is constantly shouting, eventually, like everything else, everything stops listening. That's insulin resistance, which is basically your body saying, I heard you. I'm just choosing to ignore you now. At first, your body compensates really well. Your pancreas just makes more insulin to get the same job done. But over time, that comes at a cost. And once that begins, things can get pretty messy. Your pancreas produces more insulin because clearly yelling louder will fix it, right? Your cells stop responding properly, especially muscle cells, which are supposed to be one of the biggest glucose sinks. Fat starts accumulating in places that it shouldn't, like your liver, your abdomen, and even around your organs, which is what we call visceral fat. Your metabolism slows down because your body is being told, store energy, not burn it. And you feel tired, hungry, and somehow both wired and exhausted. That's partly because your cells aren't getting the energy they need, even though there's plenty in your bloodstream. It's one of the few situations where your body can be overloaded with energy, but your cells are still starving. It's like your body is stuck in a group chat where nobody reads the messages anymore, but notifications just keep going off nonstop. Insulin isn't working alone in this story either. It has a partner called leptin. Leptin is the we're good, you can stop eating now hormone. I love leptin. Give me more leptin. It's the polite friend at dinner who actually will say, I'm full, and mean it. It's produced by your fat cells and sent to your brain, specifically the hypothalamus. And it's to signal that you have enough stored energy. At least that's how it used to be. Because when insulin is chronically high, leptin's signal gets ignored just like everything else. This is called leptin resistance, where your brain stops responding to a hormone that's already there. So leptin's out here sending signals and your brain left it on red. So now your brain doesn't get the memo that you've eaten enough. And here's the twist. The more body fat that you have, the more leptin you produce. So the problem isn't that you have a lack of leptin, it's that your brain has stopped listening to it. Like a pestilent child, which leads to this fun little situation where you don't feel full anymore. You keep eating because you don't feel full. Your body continuously thinks that you're starving. Meanwhile, you're not starving at all. You just ate enough to feed a small hiking group. Your brain is essentially operating as if your energy stores are low, even when they're not. It's like Your internal hunger system is running on outdated software and no one has installed the latest update. And then there's ghrelin. Sounds a lot like gremlin in my opinion. It's the hormone that makes you feel hungry in the first place. Ghrelin is released primarily from your stomach, and it rises before meals and it falls after you eat, at least under normal conditions. But in this scenario, everything's already out of balance. Ghrelin keeps pushing you to eat more. Leptin isn't stopping you from eating, and insulin is busy storing everything. What a nasty little cycle. You're fighting a system that's been chemically tilted against you. It's not from a lack of discipline. That's biology acting on bad instructions. Now, let's add one more ingredient to this nasty little system. Something we all struggle with, stress. Because what's modern life without a little bit of stress, or a lot? We got deadlines, we got notifications, emails that start with just circling back, exes who won't go away or shut the hell up. Stress increases cortisol. Cortisol is produced by your adrenal glands and is part of your body's built-in survival system, often called the fight or flight response. Cortisol tells your body, we might be in danger, so we better store some energy. It also raises blood sugar to give you quick fuel, just in case you need to run, fight, or escape a saber-toothed tiger, which would be great if the danger wasn't just your inbox or an ex. Your body doesn't know the difference between a tiger and a stressful email, which is unfortunate because one of those you can't just ignore and the other one you absolutely could ignore. Your body just prepares for survival in the same way. But when cortisol is high and insulin resistance is already in play, cortisol and insulin together are a powerful fat storage signal, especially around the abdomen. This is why chronic stress is strongly linked to increased belly fat. Your body becomes incredibly good at storing fat and incredibly bad at using it, because cortisol also makes it harder for your body to access stored fat for energy. And it doesn't stop there either. Cortisol also increases appetite, especially for those high sugar, high fat comfort foods. You know the kind, the foods that come in wrappers and poor decisions. So you end up feeling stressed, tired, hungry, and somehow still low on energy. Part of that exhaustion comes from constantly elevated blood sugar and insulin swings. Your system is working overtime just to stabilize itself. It's not just that stress makes you eat more. It actually makes your body store more of what you eat. It's like your body locked the pantry and then misplaced the key. So how did we get here? It's not because our bodies suddenly became flawed. God didn't design us this way. He designed us perfectly in his image. But just like the beginning of time, once, humans get involved and he gives us free will, we tend to mess some things up for ourselves. And this is no different. Human biology hasn't meaningfully changed in thousands of years, but our food environment has changed dramatically just in the last 50 to 70 years. It's because our environment changed faster than our biology could adapt to it. We increase things like processed foods, many of which are designed to be shelf-stable, highly palatable, and easy to overconsume. I do love a good Oreo cookie, but a whole sleeve of them? Not my friend. Sugar intake is on the rise, especially hidden sugar. The average person now consumes significantly more added sugar than recommended, often without even realizing it because it's hidden in things like sauces and dressings and drinks and those healthy packaged foods. Our eating frequency went from eating 2 to 3 meals a day to full-on barnyard behavior, constantly grazing like a herd of cows, just moseying from snack to snack. The problem is, unlike actual farm animals, we never wander far enough from the feed trough, so insulin just stays elevated all day, like it's permanently feeding time. Portion sizes today are 2 to 3 times larger than they were decades ago. Basically, what used to be a meal is now considered an appetizer. Foods designed to hit the bliss point, like those hyper-engineered snacks, the perfect mix of sugar, fat, and salt to keep you coming back for more. They're engineered so that your brain says just one more bite about 17 times. And we decreased on things that were good for us, like whole nutrient-dense foods, foods that naturally regulate hunger because of fiber and protein and micronutrients, all of our friends. You know, those are the ones that don't come with a cartoon mascot or a 6-month shelf life. Protein and fiber on the decrease. They're two of the most important nutrients for satiety and stable blood sugar. Our daily lives now require far less physical exercise and movement than previous generations. We've basically gone from walk to get food to scroll while it gets delivered to my doorstep. Oftentimes, you don't even need to get to the door to greet your DoorDash driver. They just leave it on your porch. Sunlight. I live in Pennsylvania. It's usually gray and cloudy here, but less time outdoors can disrupt circadian rhythm, which affects metabolism and hormone balance. Just turns out that humans function better with actual sunlight, not just the refrigerator light. Time in between meals, giving your body fewer opportunities to return to a low insulin fat burning state. We didn't just change what we eat, we changed how often we eat, how much we eat, and how our bodies are allowed to respond to it. In short, we created a system where the easiest choices are often the worst ones. Just like relationships, the easiest people are often the worst ones. And the healthiest choices require planning, more money, effort, and sometimes resisting a box of cookies that seems to be personally calling out my name. And it's not accidental either. Modern food environments are built for convenience, for shelf life, and of course for profit, not metabolic health. And part of this shift didn't happen randomly. Over time, things like agricultural policy and food guidelines helped shape the system that we have today. For decades, U.S. agriculture has heavily supported crops like corn and soy, which made ingredients like high fructose corn syrup and refined oils incredibly cheap and widely available. And when something becomes cheap, abundant, and shelf stable, it tends to show up everywhere. And at the same time, we went through a long stretch where dietary advice focused heavily on reducing fat. So food companies adapted. They took fat out and they replaced it with sugar and refined carbohydrates to keep foods tasting good. Because if food doesn't taste good, it simply won't sell. There's no single decision that caused this. It was decades of small changes, economic, agricultural, and nutritional, that slowly built the modern food environment that we live in today. Your biology is reacting exactly the way it was designed to react, just in an environment that it was never designed for. Our bodies weren't built for this, but this is what we built around our bodies. How do we break this horrible, vicious cycle that we are all on? I want to give you some encouraging words, because your body, my body, is incredibly resilient, which is great because it's been tolerating an awful lot over the years. It's not broken. It's responding exactly how it was designed to respond, just to the wrong inputs. In fact, many of these metabolic changes, like insulin resistance, are reversible when the underlying inputs improve. Research and experts like Dr. Philip Prinz consistently point to some simple yet powerful shifts that you can do today to start this. Cut back on processed foods, because ultra-processed foods are strongly linked to overeating and metabolic dysfunction. Reduce excess carbohydrates, especially refined carbs that spike blood sugar quickly. Avoid high fructose corn syrup. It's a major source of excess fructose in modern diets. And yes, let's stop constantly snacking. Even the "this doesn't count" snack, because your body is always counting. I promise you it's counting. Allowing your body time in between meals helps lower insulin levels, because when you stop constantly eating, your body finally gets a chance to rest. And let's start prioritizing whole foods, foods that come with fiber, protein, nutrients that your body was designed to recognize and want. Eat more protein and healthy fats. These help stabilize blood sugar and keep you full longer. Move your body regularly. It doesn't have to be an extreme sport. You don't need a Rocky montage. Just walk. Simple movements like walking improve how your body uses insulin. And yes, let's get some sunlight. It's free. It'll support circadian rhythm, which affects hormones, sleep, and metabolism. Improve insulin sensitivity through exercise. Muscles act like sponges for glucose, especially after activity. Exercise doesn't just burn calories, it changes how your body handles energy. When insulin levels come down, something important happens. Your body shifts from storage mode back into fuel burning mode. Your body can finally access that energy that it's been storing. And that stored energy, that's body fat. And lowering insulin is one of the keys to unlocking it. In other words, you start using the fuel you already have instead of constantly needing more. The goal isn't to eat less and struggle more. It's to fix the signals so that your body works with you again. Our food didn't become unhealthy by accident, my friends. It became unhealthy because it became highly efficient, highly profitable, and highly engineered. But here's the good news. Your body hasn't changed nearly as much as your environment has. And that means it still knows how to recover. Once you understand how your body actually works, how insulin, fructose, leptin, and cortisol interact, you stop fighting yourself and you start working with your biology instead of against it. And when the inputs change, when insulin comes down, when your hormones rebalance, your body responds. Energy improves. Hunger stabilizes. Fat becomes accessible again, not because of willpower, but because the system is finally working the way it was designed to. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to give your body the conditions it recognizes. Control doesn't come from restriction. It comes from understanding. And once you understand the system, you can start to change it one healthy decision at a time. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you want a deeper dive into insulin resistance, fructose, and liver health, or how to rebuild your metabolism step by step, let me know and we'll keep going on this topic after I've consulted with my personal subject matter expert. Email me at ce.spillingtea@gmail.com to keep this conversation going. Until next time, take care of your body. It's adaptable, it's responsive, and when you give it the right inputs, it finally works with you instead of plotting against you at 3 p.m. Because let's be honest, 3 p.m. is when your body either wants a nap, a snack, or a complete life reset. Have a great night, my friends.